All right, welcome in, guys. Farzine Vasugian here with you for another episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Not just any episode, ladies and gentlemen. It is a playoff victory edition of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Yes, arrow horns all the way. The Chiefs pick up a big win at home in the freezing cold against the Miami Dolphins. A big win for the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I'll tell you what, the Chiefs needed that big time in this game, and I know a lot of people definitely happy about the way this game went, and I know a lot of people, there are also a lot of people not happy about this one. There were a lot of people out there who said that the Chiefs were going to be a one-and-done team in the playoffs. I did not see that in this one. I didn't see that. The Chiefs looked like a much better football team. This was one of their best played games of the year. So at the end of the day, the Chiefs just found a way to click on all cylinders. Was it perfect? No, far from it. But they got to the end zone. They were able to move the football defensively. I mean, what complaints do you have about this Chiefs defense? What could they have done better? There was one play where the Chiefs defense got caught napping. That's it. That one play right there was not even close to hurting Kansas City in this game. The score was close at that time, but the Chiefs, man, they came away with a big win at home. All right, I'm going to put the link to call in to the podcast. It is right there. I am pinning the comment. You should be able to see it. So hopefully we get some callers in tonight. I know it is a late night, but man, I'm here. I'm here to talk to you guys. Want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. I know a lot of you guys took advantage of this promo because Chiefs tickets were very low for this game, and this promo was able to save you guys some money, and you didn't pay a whole lot for a Chiefs ticket in this one. Well, we don't know where the Chiefs are going to be yet. They're going to be going on the road, but you have an opportunity to catch a Chiefs game on the road if you're a new customer, or maybe you want to catch one of the local college teams, KU, K-State, MU, whatever it is. Go to SeatGeek.com, get your tickets from there, and use my promo code Farzine if you're a new customer for SeatGeek. You will save $20 off your first purchase. Can't beat that, especially when ticket prices are pretty low. So go to SeatGeek.com, and if you're a new customer, use the promo code Farzine, and you will save $20 off your first purchase. Again, SeatGeek.com at checkout. Put in the promo code Farzine to save $20. Man, I'm seeing the comments right now. A lot of you guys are thrilled about the play of a lot of guys here on offense, on defense. I think Patrick Mahomes played a very good game. Not perfect by all means. 23 of 41 passing. Some passes that were high, some passes that were low. And obviously, there were a couple of drops in there as well. But man, the Chiefs, what I loved about this game is the Chiefs relied on their playmakers, their most reliable guys, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Justin Watson got involved on a couple of key plays there. And I want to go back to Rashee Rice because that guy is the MVP of this game. 8 catches, 130 yards, which is the most by a Chiefs rookie in a playoff game. Rashee Rice did not look like a rookie. This guy looked like a grown-ass man on the field. That is what we are talking about here. Rashee Rice played a phenomenal game in this one. I don't think you could have asked for much more. A little bit of a scary moment when he got hurt, but able to come back eventually and help the Chiefs offense move the football. So great to see Rashee Rice. And man, that was good to see. By the way, a lot of you guys are asking about who the Chiefs are going to play. We do not know. We have to wait for the not the Miami Dolphins. Definitely not going to be waiting on them anymore. We have to wait for Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that game. It's scheduled for Monday at 3:30 Central Time, but there's some talk that it could be pushed back to Tuesday. I'm telling you right now, if it gets pushed back to Tuesday, there's no way they're scheduling that game for Saturday. There's a 90% chance it's Buffalo. But man, if it's Buffalo, they're going to be at a major disadvantage I mean, they're not going to have enough time to study the game film. They got to get right to practice the next day. So I would imagine that they're going to put this game on a Sunday, the soonest. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if they do something to try to put that game on a Monday, because I don't think they do a Monday playoff game in the divisional round. But we'll see. We'll have to see. For now, the Chiefs, they can sit down and just relax the next couple of days, which is huge. I'm telling you what, it is huge. I want to hear from you guys. Call into the podcast. I just commented with the link below. So if you guys want, call in. I'm here all night. I've got nowhere to be tomorrow morning. Hopefully that's the case for a lot of you guys on the weekend. I know some of you guys got to work on the weekend, but I'm here all night. So we'll get right to it. I know a couple of you guys already calling in. So bear with me. Going to read a couple of stats here and I'll get to your guys' calls. I do want to look at Miami real quickly, because Miami in this game did not play very well. We hear so much about that that prolific offense they have and how much they score. And I mentioned, who have they done that whole thing to? Who have they been able to do it like a good team? Nobody. They have not been able to do all this high power offensive stuff against a good football team. You look at what they did with Tyreek Hill in this game, the 53-yard touchdown catch, which was a great play by Tyreek. Trent McDuffie completely was surprised by that, tried to even commit the penalty, it looked like, to try to prevent a catch and a touchdown. He failed at that, but man, he made up for it later on in the game, and we'll get into that. But if you take away that 53-yard touchdown catch and run by Tyreek Hill in this game, what did Miami do? What did Miami do in this game? Their best player was Tyreek Hill, who had 5 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. You take that one touchdown play away, the Miami did nothing. So the Chiefs gave up a one big play to the most dynamic player in NFL history, the most explosive player we've ever seen in the sports history. And that's it. That is all Miami could do in this game. Trent McDuffie was all over him the rest of the game. L'Jarius Sneed was all over him the rest of the game. This Miami offense, when you take away Tyreek Hill and they tried to utilize Raheem Mostert, didn't work. Devon Achane had one of the worst games this year. This guy has a really high yard per carry average. If I recall, it's like 7 or 8 yards per carry. I don't remember the exact number, but it is ridiculously high for a backup running back. He was held to 9 yards off 6 carries. That's how good this Chiefs defense was. And you guys know me, I've always been kind of iffy about this Chiefs run defense. Man, they proved me wrong tonight. I thought this was for sure going to cause problems for the Chiefs defense. But man, no, this Chiefs defense, their best game of the year. No question about it. Yeah, talk about the weather and all this stuff and the warm weather team. Man, that's football for you. That's football. And by the way, I know there are some people bringing up the roughing the passer call on the right after the Mahomes intentional grounding. Yeah, well, it's kind of a soft call. I agree. But you know what else was bad in this game? The holding call that should have been called on Mecole Hardman, or the defender that was holding on Mecole Hardman. Richie James, Jalen Ramsey, creating contact before the ball even got there. So what did I say in the first half? Bad calls, missed calls. They happen. That's a sport. I'm not defending it, but Roger Goodell, man, I mean, he defends it all the time. So that's football for you. Hey, I'm going to post a link one more time in the comments on YouTube and Facebook. I want to hear from you guys. We're going to go straight to the calls right now. Alan, you've been waiting very patiently. You are on the Chief Zone, Alan. How are you?
I am outstanding. And let me just say, you could not come on. I wanted you to come on with about 5 minutes left in the game. I wanted to talk about this game so much. There's my little Chiefs fan. You're exactly right about everything that you've said. The most complete game of the season. Say hey.
Hi.
Most complete game of the season. You're exactly right about the penalties too. I don't want to hear anybody say anything about penalties, because the Chiefs got totally screwed on at least 3. And this game, I was just doing the math before you came to me. This game could very easily have been 38-0 or 38-7.
Yeah, you're right.
The blocking in the back deal on Jawan Taylor, I don't even know if that was really a block in the back because he was getting pushed in the back by a Dolphins player. So it had nothing to do with Rice getting the touchdown. Kelsey absolutely dropped the touchdown early in the game when the ball went right through his hands on about the 8 or 9 yard line. I'm very excited, and I really and honest, I kind of hope that we do play the Bills right now. I
Me
don't
too,
care.
man.
Yeah,
I want that game back just as badly.
I do too, and I think they're going to be motivated and pissed off. Obviously, the weather, doesn't really affect anything, and I think we saw last year when Cincinnati went to Buffalo, you take the fans out there pretty quick. You get up like the Chiefs got up in this game, the fans are out of that game, and they're a non-factor, I think.
Yeah.
The one question I've got is, I thought it was a no-brainer at the end of the season to get rid of Chris Jones and to keep Snead, obviously, if you got to pick between the two. But I'm wondering, I'm starting to rethink it just a little bit. I want to keep both of them because I'm wondering, do we need another wide receiver, a number one? I think we got the number one wide receiver right now.
Well, we definitely got a number one wide receiver, but man, he can't do it all. Like today, yeah, you can survive on a game like this, but on it, as you get deeper into the playoffs, it's going to be very difficult to just rely on Rashee Rice. Let me read the stat line for you real quickly, Alan. 8 catches for 130 yards for Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce 7 for 71. The next best player in terms of yardage, well, he got a tie. Noah Gray 1 for 20. Justin Watson 1 for 20. Then you got MVS who caught the ball. MVS caught the ball, ladies and gentlemen. Richie James had a catch. Clyde had a catch. McCall had a catch. And Isaiah Pacheco had a catch that went for negative yardage. So you definitely do need some help there, man. And by the way, I just go ahead.
Well, quick question. So do with where Rashee Rice is right now, do you have to put big money out there to get a Mike Evans or a T. Higgins, or do you get a solid number two, whoever that is?
That would help a lot, especially when your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Listen, I think with the issues this year, you don't have to have a Mike Evans. It would help a lot. Just someone that'll catch the ball. Speed is great, all that stuff. But when we talk about all those skill sets, then we're talking like a dominant number one receiver. I think the Chiefs just want to make sure whoever they have in the receiver room next year, they just want someone that's going to be able to do the fundamentals. That is something they've struggled with immense. And you know that. You don't need me to tell you that. Everyone knows this.
Where I'll leave you with on this, because I know there's a lot of folks that want to talk. I think Pacheco rushed for 89 yards. I know they kind of shut him down a little bit in the second half. But if you keep running him between the tackles, just like they did at the beginning of the game, he's going to get your yards. And I'm loving Edwards-Helaire right now. I mean, catching, running the ball, that first down that he got near the goal line, I was telling my kid, that was all heart. I mean, there was no he should have got that first down other than heart.
I love it, man. Hey, I'll let you go. Great comments, man. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Stay safe. Party. And party safely as well. I know a lot of people will be doing that. Yeah, man. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and someone said this on Twitter, that looks like a guy that's really fighting for a job. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire plays more like this, yeah, I'd like to have that guy back for one more year. He's going to hit free agency this year because the Chiefs did not pick up his fifth-year option. But I'd like to have him as a guy who complements Isaiah Pacheco for sure. Now there might be other options there. You could replace him in the draft. We'll have to see. By the way, who scored in this game? Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, and Tyreek Hill. Those are the three guys who scored a touchdown. And then you had Harrison Butker kick all those field goals, but no touchdown from him. What do all those touchdown scorers have in common? They were all Chiefs draft picks. And by the way, real quickly on the Tyreek Hill thing, I mean, everybody last year said that, the Chiefs were screwed and they're in trouble. And then it turned into, oh my God, how are the Chiefs in the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill? Well, guess what? You won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill last year. You beat him in the regular season. You beat him in the postseason. Again, just a few weeks ago, people were saying, oh, well, the Chiefs should have kept Tyreek Hill. They beat him twice. They won a Super Bowl without him last year. I mean, the Chiefs, yeah, don't get me wrong, Tyreek Hill would help a lot, but that narrative needs to go away. Unless the Dolphins win 3 Super Bowls in a row the next 3 years, that narrative is, I mean, that is, as ancient as the dinosaurs in my mind. Bob, you are on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up, Bob?
What's up, Bars? Man, hey, about time we get us a game, man, that we can get excited about. I sat there patiently in that first half. We squandered some points there and turned them into field goals, which I think under the extreme conditions of this weather, man, it was mean.
That's a very good point, Bob. And I don't mean to cut you off, but that's a very good point. To win this game 26-7 in these conditions, I will take that 100%.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, the ref didn't even want to take down his mask to go review a call. I mean, it was painful stuff, man. I was a firefighter for 25 years in this city, and I know what it's like to be out on a night like this. And it was rough, man. But I'm going to tell you what, them guys showed guts. They put it together when they needed to. And what Pacheco, man, he dusted off his wheels and he let it rip tonight. And then Clyde, he got involved there. It was a pretty good duel, tandem there working. I'm a little disappointed in our right tackle still. I think we're just going to have to live through that. Rashi is coming into his own. Kelsey got on track tonight. He got involved. This is the first time in 4 games or 4 or 5 games that Kelsey hasn't really had any catches, man, to speak of.
Yeah.
And so I was glad to see that because that's a spark plug. Because you get that guy going, man, he can get with it. We know that. We did squander some points there. I'd like to see this convert, but under the circumstances, I'm happy with the win. And bad calls are discontinuing, man. It's an NFL problem. It's going on throughout every game in the NFL. And the NFL in the offseason needs to address it. I think there's a pretty easy way of doing it, but I'm just a standby fan, and I enjoy your show. Dude, we're going to go to Buffalo, scoop us a path into that place and kick their ass, baby. That's what's going to happen. That's the handwriting on the wall. I love it on the wall. So, hey, I tune in next week with you because there's a couple scenarios that could happen. I'm going to become a Steelers fan for Monday night because there's still a hopes that we could still a slim chance host that 6th AFC championship game if something goes down.
That is true. I'm not holding my breath on that, though.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I'm saying it's possible.
All right, Bob.
Hey, we've seen worse. So anyway, hey, thanks for putting on the show, and I'll sit on the sideline and listen to all our Kingdom speak.
All right. Appreciate it, Bob. You take care. And by the way, really cool. I did not know you were a firefighter. That's awesome. I'm a big fan of the show Rescue Me. And that, obviously it's a TV show, but even just watching that, it gives you a really good appreciation of what firefighters do, especially in the damn cold, man. I mean, it's all first responders. Props to all of you guys. So very cool to be able to interact with a former first responder. Always cool. Daniel, you've been waiting very patiently. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, what's up, man?
Great man. Talk to me.
Great win. I think I was looking at the stat. The last time I think it was the Raider game that Travis Kelce had a pretty big game. I think he had 6 catches for 91 yards. I think it's been a while. So it was great. I know he dropped two big ones there, especially that one where he could have had a walk-in touchdown. But you think the whole Tua thing of him having better accuracy will finally die down? I mean, he didn't have anything today.
I mean, dude, there's only one guy who really believes that. There's only one guy in the room.
And do you think he finally will say no? I mean, it's great. I noticed that his touchdown was on McDuffie, and that was on a motion. I mean, Snead is turning me around, man. I know I was not a pro Snead fan, but as long as he gets those penalties and they don't get those called, those key third down drive, keep going, momentum penalties that kill the drive and for the defense. He's turning me around to where I'm like, okay, maybe Chris Jones is maybe not. Now I was hoping to maybe draft I think we can get a tackle and can we let Taylor walk after this year, or is he a 2-year deal?
I was thinking about this during the game, and it's like, man, I don't know if it's even worth it. Like, just let him go and eat whatever cap hit it's going to be, because it is kind of hard watching him and just how he's playing this year. I will say this, and they showed this in the game. He does commit a lot of penalties. They mentioned it, the most penalized player in 20 years on offense in a single season. But he does have some success with pass blocking 100%. And this is a big reason why they brought him in here. Now, I also need to note that Miami was beat up and they were playing with some backups, but he's had some good games this year going up against some good pass rushers where he had ESPN tracks like the win percentage rate on pass blocking battles. But the penalties, like, see, the Snead penalties, I can live with that, especially when you have 0 touchdowns allowed. The Juwan penalties, man, that erased the touchdown in the game for Rashee Rice. And the offensive penalties are always, I mean, that can be a killer, and it's been that way for a few times for Juwan this year. So that's a good question.
Yeah, because I think we can get a tackle in the draft, maybe get a couple more. I mean, I trust we can draft well. We haven't for years. So, I mean, it's a great. And then I think someone should put a rice baby and put that on a t-shirt, something, that's like the best slogan ever right there.
I don't know how that's not a thing already.
I haven't seen one yet. So if it's out there, please post it if you find it, or somebody post it, because I would love to buy a t-shirt that says rice baby. I would wear it tomorrow. But anyways, yeah, great game. I want Buffalo as well. I don't want an easy matchup. I want Buffalo. I want to knock out Baltimore. And then we on our way, because everybody's supposed to beat us. We were
supposed to be one and done. That's what I was told.
Right, we're one and done. And I know Miami's gonna cry more and explain this. And look. Next time we'll beat you at home, so we have no excuse. It won't be a Germany game. It won't be in the cold in Kansas City. We'll beat you at Hard Rock in a nice 84-degree weather or whatever it is. I'm in Florida now. I think it's like 70. So, nice little weather and perfect. So, and then you have no excuse.
I love it, man. What part of Florida are you at?
I'm in Davenport, so I'm in Central Florida by the Orlando area.
Okay, well, I'm sure there are a lot of Dolphins fans in that area. So
my neighbor across the street, my neighbor right across the street, I'm gonna go out there nice and say, "Good morning, my neighbors."
I love it, man. Daniel, I'll let you go. I appreciate you calling in, man. Rock that jersey in Florida, man. Party hard, but don't get into too much trouble. I don't know if you guys heard this at the beginning of the podcast. You can actually hear some fireworks. Come on, so just a wild card game. Let's save the fireworks for a bigger one here. Matt, I'm going to get to you in a second here. I'm going to post the link one more time. A lot of good callers so far. A lot of great comments. I'm reading all your comments, by the way. So I apologize not getting to many of them. Obviously, a very exciting night. A lot of people commenting and whatnot. So I try to put some of the comments on the screen if it's relatable to what the callers are talking about. So I put the link one more time. We don't have anyone else on hold except for Matt, which I'll get him on here in just a couple of seconds. But phone lines are open if you guys want to call in. I put the link just now in the comment section. Matt, you're on the Chiefs Zone. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, not much. We're just enjoying a big Chiefs win here. This is my daughter.
Hi.
And hi. So one thing I wanted to mention was Andy Reid's mustache, how it was frozen.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let's talk about this.
Yes, I'm a mailman, and I was out in that today in Oklahoma, and my beer, I mean, you get out there and you drink water, your snot and stuff, and it gets frozen. And I saw that, and I was like, yep, I can relate. And
Andy Reid is always just so interesting. I remember in 2020, we all remember what kind of year 2020 was. He didn't have a mask, but he had the face shield, and that fogged up during the game. It's like the funniest things happen to Andy Reid during games.
Yes, and then I remember that after that game, he got some hockey spray where I guess it's the special stuff that they spray on there to keep it from fogging over.
I think I recall you
Yeah.
bringing that up. Yeah, because he was even asked about that in the press conference too, which I thought was funny.
Yeah. They kept fogging over, and then they made him put on the mask after a few games. They, I guess, changed the rules, so he had to wear that mask.
There it is, right there.
There it is.
Andy Reid's mustache.
Yeah.
The tree.
You see his mustache? Yeah, it was frozen.
Yep. I don't know how. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, but that's crazy.
Yeah, I've experienced that, and it's a weird feeling when your mustache, your beard, and stuff is frozen. So it just feels weird when you touch it. It doesn't if you don't touch it or whatever, it doesn't really affect you. It don't feel much, but
I can relate to that kind of thing. I can relate to that kind of thing because I love to go out for a walk. But man, you kind of mentioned the snot and like sniffling and whatnot. I mean, that happens to me within seconds. I'm sure it happens to a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
I was trying to go out for a walk and I said, no, not in this cold. No way. Can't do it.
Yeah, no.
No,
I was on it all day today, and it was awful. So,
yeah.
It was already freezing.
yes, it's it's cold here. It's about, what did I get today? I think I got a high of 20 today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I don't know if we got-
high was 20. The high was 25.
But it was pretty windy.
Yeah,
it's warmer than here. That's for sure.
Yeah, a little bit warmer. We had a little bit of snow flurries,
the
but
high was
not much snow.
25, and in the morning, yeah, it was snowy, but
Yeah.
it was 17.
Yeah, that's cold. I hate the cold.
Yeah, it's extremely cold.
Yeah, it was real cold.
Right now, it's like.
Do you have anything else you want to add, Matt?
Do you have anything you want to say?
No.
Nope. I guess, yeah, we're good then. All right.
All right.
Okay.
You
have
take
a good
care.
night.
All right, bye. Thanks for calling in. All right, Tim, you are on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up, Tim?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm excited. I live in Toronto, so I just got my tickets to Buffalo like about 10 minutes ago off of StubHub. So I'm gonna go down to the Bills game and be there live.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's my second Chiefs game this year. I went to New York to see them as well. So this is a fantastic year for me to go see the Chiefs live. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, got my Marcus Allen jersey. Gonna bring it down and probably get stuff thrown at me while I'm in Buffalo, but it's okay.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
You were at the Jets game. Yeah, when you said New York, I was a little confused. That was the Jets game you went to. No, that's awesome. What is that stadium like? I've always wanted to see that stadium.
So being about an hour away from the Bills stadium, it doesn't even compare, man. It was I'll say two things. It wasn't really as live and like crazy as like a Bills game, right? Like it's a lot of fun when you go to a Bills game, especially when they're losing, to be quite honest with you. It's like they go crazy. But like there was so many Kansas City jerseys at the Jets game, and then there's people from like all over the world. So in my section there was like people from Australia behind me, people from Germany, people from Montreal, which is, being a Canadian, we kind of high-fived each other, and a bunch of people from Kansas City as well. So I actually have a friend who has Jets season tickets who lives up here in Toronto. He goes, it's easy to sell because there's always people in New York, right? So he can always sell his tickets off, and people go and visit. So the stadium itself is pretty kind of bland,
Okay.
But it's just a million seats and you're looking at it, but it doesn't have a lot of character. So like when I think of like great stadiums, I think of like PNC at Pittsburgh, the where the Pirates play, like even the Anaheim. Yeah, these are great stadiums. This one's very, very like, let's get as many people looking at the game as possible. It's very, I don't know, kind of I would say blasé, little drab.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, I got to see the Chiefs. The last time I got the Chiefs played in Buffalo, I always go when they play, was Pat Mahomes' first year. So he didn't play, right? It was Alex Smith who was the starting. So I hadn't seen Mahomes play live. So I'm like, I gotta go. And my brother actually lives in New York, so I took advantage of that. And and went and got tickets to go see them there. So this is great. Two games in 1 year for me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I don't know if you're able to see this, but the Chiefs put this up on their website.
Yeah, I saw that.
From Canada. Yeah, that's all. That's dedication, man. I guess
there's a lot of us.
Here.
There's a lot of us Canadians who are Chiefs fan. You'd be surprised. Like there's people who I like or who live around here are like, and not Chiefs fans like just in the last 5 years. Like we used to call ourselves long suffering, right? So the golden age of it now is freaking awesome. I love it. Yeah, like I have friends that went down into I call it their first Super Bowl, but the one they won in a couple against the Niners. They went to that, and I think they went to the AFC Championship game like the year before. Like, so there's a bunch of people up here in the Great White North who are Chiefs fans. I don't know what the connection is for all these people. For me, when I was a little kid, my very first like superhero athlete was Marcus Allen. And when he went to the Chiefs, I went with him. I didn't care that Montana went at the same time. I was following Marcus Allen, and I just stayed there. And my very first football game was like December 26th in Buffalo, and Schottenheimer brought the Chiefs with Marcus Allen there. I was like, I got to see this guy play before he retires. And that was I try to go to at least one game a year. Obviously, Buffalo's the place I go to most, but this year I got to go to the Jets. So I'm pumped about going next week. I'm assuming they're going to take care of the Steelers, right? So,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
So,
well, good stuff. Well, hopefully you get to go, man. I appreciate you calling in, Tim, and enjoy the game next week if it's Buffalo indeed.
I will. Go
All right, take care. Thanks for calling in, man. Al, you've been waiting for a while. What's going on, Al?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, dude.
I missed the beginning of your show here, but I want to say today's game, I felt a little bit more confident of what the team's been putting together overall in the last like 4 games. I mean, last week didn't matter, but the last couple weeks, I feel like today's game overall, they brought it, right? Like, so I feel a little bit more confident going possibly to Buffalo. Obviously, everybody's probably cheering for a home game next week. If they do play Pittsburgh, I'm going to try to make the drive down from Wisconsin to Kansas City. Actually, if I were to drive to Buffalo, it'd probably be the same distance, but I would rather go to Kansas City. But I do feel confident if they do got to go to Buffalo after what I saw today. And I think, after seeing Kansas City's offense of just like utilizing Pacheco, getting the ball to Rashid Rice, and then, I feel like today's offense looked good, and their defense, if Tyreek Hill doesn't get that bomb, we shut him out,
Yeah, 100%.
So, man, I do. After watching today's game, it's like mixed emotions. Like, man, I didn't feel confident going into today's game, to be honest. And then after seeing it, I'm like, damn, we could punch Buffalo in the face, So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how is your confidence going in today's game compared to after today's game?
I think, this whole thing with the weather was always interesting because you weren't quite sure what was going to happen. People were already bringing it up, but I had confidence that the Chiefs would be very well prepared for this. I was very shocked early on. The Chiefs, Andy Reid just said, fuck this cold. We are throwing the damn ball.
They look good. They look great.
Yeah, and they looked good. Listen, I'll say what I've been saying for a long time. I think this Chiefs offense has done a very good job of moving the football, but they've struggled in the red zone, and that was the case today. Now, they were able to get in there, get a couple scores, and Bob called in earlier and said, hey, listen, consider the score and the weather, and he's absolutely right. 26-7 in this freezing cold. That is a pretty impressive score right there, but I think the offense definitely made progress today.
One thing is, like, today, like you said, like when we get in the red zone, I want to score touchdowns. But today, I knew it was going to be a tough day because of the weather, and I'm like, shit, I'll take touchdown or field goals. I'll take give me 4 Harrison Buckner field goals. I'll take it with a touchdown sprinkled in there, because I knew they weren't scoring on our defense the way that D looked today against the Dolphins offense. I'll take it. Like if we played like we did today, do you think they would beat Buffalo? I don't care if it's in Buffalo or whatever. Like, I know Josh Allen's more elusive, like crazy on his legs. I feel like that's what usually beats us because he's like Pat. He could get out of the pocket, make plays. I feel like Josh Allen's the same way. And that's the only thing I'm really worried about with Buffalo. Like our secondary, everything, like if Josh Allen gets out of the pocket, that's where I worry.
Listen, let me just say this. The first time they played, and I know no two games are the same, but let's just go with that right now because that's all we can go off of.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills got off to a 14-0 lead, and I was kind of nervous. But the Chiefs adjusted, and they did something very similar in the Raiders game. The first time the Chiefs and Raiders played, they did the same thing in the Cincinnati game after trailing 17-7.
Yeah.
They made a lot of adjustments in that one. If the Chiefs defense can play better football for 4 quarters, look, Josh he's great, but the turnovers are an issue. Even in the game they came back to win last week against Miami, Josh Allen didn't play a great game. I mean, he got saved by his special teams and defense in the 4th quarter there. And I know he got a score in the end, but if it's not for that special teams and defense, Miami probably holds on to win, and Miami didn't play a great game either. So, and again, sure, woulda, shoulda, coulda. If KT was not offside, man, the Chiefs shut down Josh Allen after the 14-0 deficit. So I have full confidence in Kansas City's defense. The offense just needs to wake the hell up, and they did today. Wasn't perfect, but they did today.
We need to just keep it going. We'll see what happens. I mean, to beat the man, you got to be the man, right? Like, if I'm hoping for Pittsburgh so we could have a whole game, but if we got to go to Buffalo, so be it, man. If we're better, we'll win, right? I mean,
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you. I'll call after next week's Chiefs victory. Let's go.
All right, man. I love it. I appreciate it, Al. You take care of yourself. You have a good night celebrating up north in Wisconsin. To me, it's like, and again, I think it's Buffalo, but, we don't know for sure right now. I want Buffalo so badly. I know a lot of people were saying, the Chiefs are going to get the easy game next week. When people thought it was going to be the Steelers. Man, I did not want the Steelers. I wanted the Dolphins. I wanted to shut down Tyreek Hill again, and the Chiefs did exactly that. Yeah, he scored 1 touchdown on the Chiefs. That's the only positive play from Miami's. I was going to say Miami's offense, but really their entire game. Tell me one good thing about Miami in tonight's game, for some of you last night, other than that touchdown. Yeah, Pittsburgh is the easier game. I don't want the easy game. This is a playoffs, man. I get this question every year because the Chiefs, they make a deep playoff run every year. I get this every year. Who's easier to play in the AFC Championship game? Who's easier to play in the Super Bowl? Well, if someone's in the Super Bowl or the AFC title game, it's not going to be easy. I get it. Yeah, there might be ideal matchups per se, but if a team is making that big of a run, in the playoffs, there's nothing easy about playing that team. I always use this example. The two New York Giants teams that won the Super Bowl with Eli and the Eagles team that won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Everybody wanted to play those two teams. The Giants, when they beat the Patriots, when the Patriots were trying to go undefeated for the whole year, I think every playoff game that year was a revenge game for the Giants. They beat every team that in the playoffs that they had lost to in the regular. I think they got killed by the Cowboys twice that year and avenged that in the. Yeah, you were 1-2 against the Cowboys, but that one win in the playoffs completely overshadows the two from the regular season. So, yeah, sure, you might look at a team and say they're easy. Obviously, Nick Foles and the Eagles. I think, if I recall, the Eagles were the betting underdogs in every playoff game, and they were the first team ever to be underdogs in every postseason game and win all of them. So now, is that rare? Yeah, that doesn't happen often. But listen, I just want the hard games because this year, Kansas City with, the refs helped them. Sure. And then the Chiefs only complain about the officiating, which I love that. I love that. And then this narrative of the Chiefs can't score 20 points. They're going to be 1-0. Where, by the way, I've been keeping an eye on the chat, not the entire time, but where are all those people who said the Chiefs were going to be 1-0? Where are all those people? I don't see them. I don't see anybody that was loud about how the Chiefs were going to struggle and lose and they were going to be 1-0 in the playoffs. I don't see any of those people here. I know the Chiefs have not given people a reason to be confident about them. I 100% get that. But gosh, man, bring the same energy. Well, that's what I always say. You guys, for those of you who are here, I recognize some of you guys, some of the names on here. I bring the same energy, win or lose. You guys all know that. But man, when the Chiefs lose, there are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say about the Chiefs. And when they're winning and when they prove people wrong, there are a lot of people who are nowhere to be found. Those same people, nowhere to be found. Would you rather play Houston or Buffalo? Chris is asking. Houston's at home, which, you know, I want the home game, of course, but you know what, man? I want Buffalo. I want Buffalo. I get it. That's not the home game, but I want Buffalo, man. Not because I'm scared of the Texans. Texans played great today. I had the Browns winning that game, but give me Buffalo. I want that game back because if the Steelers win, you want to be able to get that game back. But I just want to play Buffalo. And I know that's, you know, be careful what you ask for, but man, I just want to get that game back because I think Kansas City was the better team. And look, I've always believed, I still think Buffalo was a better team that night. Yeah, KT, his toes were in the wrong part of they were on the line of scrimmage, but you know what, it could have, should have. The better team is the one that always wins. I know people don't like that saying, oh, well, they outplayed them or they looked better, but who won the game? You know? And plus this whole notion of the Chiefs cannot win a road playoff game. Let's get that. Let's get that out of the way and get one for Mahomes because he's never played a road playoff game. Okay, yeah, the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, but you know, that was in 2020 or technically 2021 when there was a limited capacity, so it didn't feel like a true road game. I know statistically it counts as a neutral game, neutral playing field game, a neutral site game, but you know, with the fans and all that stuff, it wasn't like a true road or true home game either for the Bucs. I want Buffalo. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to disagree and say Houston because you stay at home. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. If the Chiefs can stay at home one more time and beat a very good and hot Houston team, because I think Houston is the better team. I think Houston is a better team than Buffalo. But again, I don't want Buffalo because I think they're easier. I do think they are the easier team. I just want to get that game back and get that road win for Mahomes. Charlie, you've been waiting very patiently. Charlie, how are you?
I'm great. I'm absolutely great.
Are you a podcaster?
What's that?
Are you a podcaster?
What would you what was your first clue?
You just have a beautiful setup. The microphone stand looks a lot better than mine, man, and you got a great audio quality on that mic.
I appreciate it. I've got a Roadcaster sitting here next to me.
I got the same one.
I've got my Jayhawks basketball behind me that I don't have my entire backlight up, but I got my Chiefs Kingdom over my shoulder here. And
cool, man. Okay, I was just curious.
This shirt was purchased the last time the Dolphins came to Kansas City in 2017. It was a Christmas Eve game. So
2017.
2017 Christmas Eve. That was it was like the second to last game of the regular season, and we won and secured an AFC West title that year.
Okay,
it was one of the last 8.
I don't recall that game specifically, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
It was cold. It was a noon game, and it was 29 degrees and snowing at kickoff and about 20-mile-an-hour winds. It was cold, but I agree with you as far as who do you want? Who would you rather see? Bring on Buffalo. I'm tired of the Josh Allen talk. We'll give him 13 seconds again. Dude, I cannot with I mean, even during the halftime of this game, they were, Josh Allen. Okay, cool story. But no, yeah, it'd be cool to see Kansas City play at home one more time. But again, I think it would be equally as cool to get this. Oh, but he's never played a road playoff game. I think it would be cool to get that out the door.
Listen, let me just say something about that road playoff game. One more thing I want to add, Charlie, because okay, yeah, he hasn't played a road playoff game. Yeah, because the Chiefs win a lot in the regular season, and this year has not been the case. But man, if you listen, here's what I will say. It would be funny if Pittsburgh somehow won, because if the Chiefs do get another home game, you know what's going to happen, Charlie? People are going to say, "Oh, rigged. It's rigged," and the NFL is doing whatever they can to help the Chiefs, which is going to be funny. But no, I agree with you. I want Buffalo.
If they were doing that, they should have woken up on a couple of PIs. But who's counting? There was a couple. Really? That's okay. There was one that was during the second half of that Houston game that the guy got there way early, and everybody.
Jalen Ramsey, on Ricky James.
No. I mean during the Houston game.
Oh, there was
one during the Houston game too. I mean he basically had him wrapped up. But no, go ahead and get that. The road game, road to home playoff game conversation. Get that out of the way, and let's finally put the nail in the coffin on Josh Allen for the season. We did it for the Bengals. We got them sitting at the house. Let's do that for the Bills too. I'm tired.
Those two fan bases will not, especially Buffalo. If the Chiefs do it again this time in Buffalo, they are not going to like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I really have nothing left to for Buffalo. I just don't. It's terrible.
Listen, I think Buffalo's a good team, and I think Josh Allen's great, but I see all these Buffalo fans that complain, why is Josh Allen not in the MVP conversation? Look at all the touchdowns. Yeah.
Look at all the fumbles and all the interceptions.
I mean, come on, man. It's like, you got to look at both sides of it. If the guy would take care of the turnovers, Buffalo can be the best team in the NFL, but until they do. And by the way, did you hear Sean McDermott's comment from like 2 or 3 weeks ago after the Patriots game where they won, but Josh Allen played a bad game and through the air? And the question was, how do you figure out the woes with Josh Allen in the passing game? And he said, if we would have figured it out, we would have done it by now. I'm like, whoa. Well, yeah,
that's pretty hard.
At least with the Chiefs, when they keep saying we're going to figure it out, at least they're not giving up. I mean, it's annoying when you hear it so many times, but I digress.
Yeah. And the thing that you keep hearing, because I watched from my home tonight. I obviously did not go to Kansas City. I live in South Georgia. I grew up in Northeast Kansas, but I live in South Georgia now, so getting to a game is a little trickier. But that man, what was I going to say now? Shoot. But the other reason I wanted to see the things play out like that, it would be great if the Steelers would go on a nice little 2-game run and knock these people out so that we can have another Arrowhead Invitational.
That would be epic. Boy, the meltdown.
Can you imagine how absolutely wonderfully obnoxious Nick Wright would be on First Things First? It'd be amazing. I mean, it's just,
that'd be awesome.
That would be amazing just to watch him crow and watch Wilds and Brew just.
Oh no. Well, Greg Jennings was really optimistic that the Dolphins were going to like dominate the Chiefs in this one, and Nick Wright's going to have a banner ready for that Monday show.
Just one? He's probably going to fill that wall. My wife's a Falcons fan, but she calls the Chiefs her step team.
I like that, the step team. Charlie, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, but I do try to interact with you when I can. And yes, we do podcast. We have an episode all about our preseason rankings for the NFL quarterbacks that we did.
Well, what's your podcast? Share it on here.
It's called In Our Life Podcast. the website is inourlifepodcast.com. We're on YouTube at In Our Life Podcast. There's another one that's not all one word, and it's definitely not us. But
Okay.
if you go to inourlifepodcast.com, you'll find us. We're on Facebook, same handle.
Good stuff. Okay. All right. Well, people can check it out if they want to hear you. All right, Charlie.
How about
Thanks for
those
calling in.
Chiefs?
I love it. Appreciate it, man. You have a good night. His microphone sounds a lot nicer and better than mine. I'm not gonna lie. Looks cooler too. By the way, someone was asking in the chat while I was talking to Charlie there, Casey asking, how do you pronounce your first and last name? I love when I get this question. It's Farzin Vasugian. That is how you say it. I apologize to not getting a lot of comments today, but don't get me wrong. I'm seeing your guys' comments and trying to feed off some of those right there. Was this one of the least stressful games of the season? Yes, I would say one of the least stressful playoff games in the Mahomes era, because every playoff game has to be interesting because that's what the Chiefs do for some damn reason. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Is this like the least stressful Chiefs game? Like in the Mahomes era in the playoffs? I think it is. I didn't even think about that, Matt, but I think you might be right. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Obviously, every playoff game, the year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl the first time with against the 49ers, every game was okay. Yeah, they blew out the Texans, but the first quarter was not good. The second year in the playoffs, the 2020 playoffs. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Buffalo game. Yeah, the Chiefs got off to a weird start. It was like 9-0 or 10-0 to start, but I don't know. Brandon says he lives in Green Bay and Green Bay fans are toxic. Really? I've heard nothing but nice things about Green Bay fans. You're like one of the very few people I've ever heard say this about Packers fans. Wow, that's okay. So a lot of you guys agree with me that that this is the least stressful playoff game. Okay. A lot of you guys. Okay, let me ask you this. And come on, let's take emotion out of it. Who do you guys think is going to win that game Monday, assuming it's on Monday? Buffalo or Pittsburgh? I mean, Pittsburgh is just beat up. And I think I saw a comment from Christopher. I'm trying to scroll up to find it. I can't find where that is. Or maybe, there it is. Christopher says, don't underestimate the Steelers. Josh Allen likes throwing to the other team. Recipe for early vacation. I love how you put that. I agree that he does commit a lot of turnovers, and I think Buffalo will make some mistakes in this game, courtesy of Josh Allen. I don't know if it's going to be enough to beat for the Steelers to capitalize on that. Unless Allen, okay, a lot of you guys are saying the Bills. A couple of you guys are saying the Dolphins, Steelers. I'm all over the place tonight. It's almost midnight, man. Give me a break. No TJ Watt, Brandon. I agree that that definitely is a factor. But if Josh Allen has like a record for most turnovers, even then I'm gonna go maybe Pittsburgh. I did a parlay, which is already busted. Thanks a lot, Cleveland. But in that parlay, I did pick Buffalo. Without hesitation. And I think I picked Buffalo to cover the spread. By the way, I will say this in-game parlay tonight. I had the Chiefs covering, Pacheco to score, Tua under 230.5, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 10.5 rushing yards. That was easy. Isaiah Pacheco over 65.5 rushing yards. Patrick Mahomes over 26.5 rushing yards. Tyreek Hill under 81.5 rushing yards. Taking home a couple Benjamins home with me tonight. By the way, we passed 79,000 followers tonight. Thank you guys. You guys are absolutely awesome. This happens every year come playoff time. By the way, I'm not even joking. I'll put this on the screen. We had today 337 followers. I normally don't put out things like this, but man, I mean, this time of year, obviously it's always crazy, and we've gotten bigger and bigger every year. You guys are absolutely awesome. So thank you guys so much for that. This has changed my life. So seriously, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Please invite your friends. If you do it on your phone, it's a lot easier, but there's like a button you click. It says invite your friends on the page. If you guys can take a moment to do that at some point, just invite a few of your friends. That's how the show grows. Sharing the stuff, liking the post, all that stuff, commenting even, that helps out and goes a long way. So thank you guys so much, man. This is awesome. And let me just say one more thing. We hit exactly 50,000 followers the day of the Super Bowl last year. So we are less than 1,000 away from 80K. And if we can hit 80K by the Super Bowl, that's 30K in 1 year. You guys are awesome, man. I appreciate you guys. I can't thank you guys enough for that. So I appreciate it, man. You guys are awesome. Just a few more things we'll go over with this Chiefs Dolphins game. I have failed to mention this guy's name, and none of the callers brought it up. I've seen this in the comments a little bit. George Karlaftis. Let's talk about that guy for a moment. Tua got sacked twice, and Karlaftis was responsible for both of them. He split one of those sacks with Chris Jones. But man, you talk about the young guys on this Chiefs team. And by the way, let's go back to the Tyreek Hill trade for a moment, because it's kind of like the Jared Allen trade from 2008, where you got a first-round pick and 2/3 from the Jared Allen trade. The Tyreek Hill trade, you got a first, a second, and a lot of other draft picks after that for both this past year and the year before. And what that allowed the Chiefs to do is to explore a lot of other options out there that they might not be able to do if they did not trade Tyreek Hill. If you don't trade Tyreek Hill, you probably don't get Trent McDuffie, because if you recall, the Chiefs traded up to get Trent McDuffie from, I think they traded up with the Patriots to get him. Obviously, when a team does that, it's generally because they found out that another team is interested in the player that they really want. And then when the Chiefs had their own first-round draft pick for that same year, the same night, they ended up getting George Karlaftis. So, man, these young guys, Karlaftis, I know Snead's not a young guy, but man, he's not that old. It's not like this guy is a seasoned veteran by all means compared to some of the other elite cornerbacks in the NFL. Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco. We're talking about guys who, a lot of them that I've been mentioning, were either drafted this year or last year. We're not seeing, any guy like Travis Kelce. Yeah, played a better game today. MVS. I mean, that guy is your most experienced wide receiver, and he's really not doing a whole lot for you. I mean, the Chiefs are getting a lot of key plays from these young guys, and I love it, man. Brett Veach has done a phenomenal job of drafting. The big knock on Brett Veach is, well, he can't get a wide receiver. Now, that's been kind of silenced a little bit lately because of Rashee Rice. But the thing about Brett Veach, you got to look at his overall body of work. Okay, the Chiefs fired John Dorsey, and they promote Brett Veach, and the Chiefs have been this great team since then. I mean, who's been better ever since the Chiefs have promoted Brett Veach? Who has more wins in the regular season and in the playoffs? I mean, there's no team that can match Kansas City's record since 2017, which is, that summer, kind of a weird summer with the whole John Dorsey situation. That's when the Chiefs promoted Brett Veach. Yes, I agree. He's got to be better about the wide receivers. Yeah, he missed on McCole Hardman. Did have a good rookie year, but he just hasn't been the same since then. Definitely missed on Sky Moore, and it may be possible we've seen the last of Sky Moore in a Chiefs jersey. We don't know yet. Although Andy Reid hinted that he could come back if the Chiefs make a deep playoff run. By the way, I'm looking at the highlights on ESPN.com. Man, that run for Mahomes, the one where he got his helmet cracked, boy, he had a couple of really good runs in this game. Two of them for 41 yards, and you needed that. And I'm glad Mahomes is doing that, because I feel like Mahomes this year, for whatever reason, he hesitates to run. And I feel like part of the reason he wants to throw the ball more is to give confidence in his receivers who have been struggling this year. So I get that. But man, it's just at the end of the day, I think if there's a wide open lane, man, take it. I remember in the Raiders game in Allegiant Stadium. I don't know how this looked on TV. You definitely would be able to see it on the All 22, but I remember Mahomes had a wide open lane. This was while the Chiefs were trailing, like struggling immensely early in the first half against the Raiders. And he had a wide open lane, and then he throws it last second at Kelsey. It's like, dude, what are you doing? So I like that recently we've seen Mahomes take off and scramble, and he seems to, be cautious. Yeah, he did kind of run into a couple of Dolphins here, but he put himself in a position where he would not get hurt and lose the football. It's so easy for quarterbacks to lose the football in that situation, but man, he looked really good doing that. So, but going back to my comment about Brett Veach and how well he's drafted, wide receiver could improve, sure, even with the Rashee Rice pick. But man, you want to talk about overall body of work. So many great players that have been drafted by Brett Veach, these young guys. And again, you look at Karlaftis, what a monster this guy's turned into. He had a very, very, very quiet start to his rookie season. I think he had, if you include the playoffs, because the Chiefs played 20 games last year, if you include the playoffs, Karlaftis only had one sack, or maybe even just half of a sack, the first 10 games. And then the next 10 games, he went on a tear with like 9 or 10 more sacks. And he played a big part in getting to Joe Burrow, because the knock on the Chiefs was in the previous AFC title game was that the Chiefs could not get to Burrow. And then in the second time they met in the AFC title game, the Chiefs got to him a lot, and Karlaftis played a big part in that. The one thing I love about Karlaftis from that game is when he got to Burrow, and it was the fourth time he got to him, and I just noticed, I just had that number ready in my head because how many times they were getting to him. And the sack celebration, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, I'm like, I just even like thought of that too, that it was the fourth sack on Burrow. So Karlaftis has played great. And I'll say this too, because FAU, which was a surprise to me, and I don't know if Andy Reid addressed this in his press conference. He probably did, but I've been talking to you guys, so I haven't had a chance to check that out. I'll definitely do that when I sign off here. But FAU was inactive today, which I thought was interesting. I'll say this right now. I know at this moment, it would have been nicer to have a wide receiver with that first round pick or something on offense that would have helped the Chiefs. But I truly do believe we will look back at this one day, and I think Chiefs fans are going to feel pretty good about the FAU draft pick. I will say this. I would not mind Charles Omenihu coming back. I think you've got to bring that guy back. And if you do, what does that do for FAU? Because, he's kind of low on the depth chart right now. So I will say this. I'm not going to dismiss the possibility that the Chiefs might try to find a trade partner for him, because they may not have as much use for him right now. I don't think that happens, but I can't dismiss that possibility. But the point I'm trying to make here is the fact you have Karlaftis and you have another first round draft pick who's kind of, waiting for his opportunity right now in FAU. That's really going to help Kansas City's defensive line. Now, with Chris Jones possibly moving on, and he has said a couple of times on the record that this could realistically be his final year in Kansas City, you definitely need to find someone in the middle, because Derek Nottie, I know Derek Nottie left this game with an injury, but Derek Nottie, he's not going to cut it for you. He's been around a long time on this defense. But that's because the Chiefs can't find anyone else. So the Chiefs definitely need to find maybe like a second tier defensive tackle, or maybe try to find someone in the draft. But I have a feeling the Chiefs are going to want to go offensive heavy in the draft this year. So I don't know. I mean, it's pretty important. Gwen says we need to keep Drew Tranquil. Yeah, that's another important guy here. I'll say this. I think in order, the priorities should be L'Jarius Sneed, Charles Omenihu, and Drew Tranquil. Obviously, Chris Jones, like, he's the best player of that entire defense, but he's going to cost you too damn much. And I get it. Great players are going to cost money. But with Kansas City's offensive issues and the thought that maybe Kansas City's defense can play well without Chris Jones, you got to find that middle guy, though. And I think you can do it with a second-tier free agent. But that's a topic for another time. We don't need to get into it too much. Deb says, what do we do about Jawan Taylor? Or actually, Deb said, what do we do about Taylor? You're either asking about Taylor Swift or Jawan Taylor. I have a feeling you're asking about Jawan Taylor. I'm being facetious, by the way. Here's what I'm going to say. And I said this earlier, so I don't know if you heard this, Deb, earlier. I know people are going in and out of the live stream. To me, I think what you've got to do, the guy has had some good moments as a pass blocker. He's allowed a lot of pressures, has not been very consistent. He's been inconsistent, in fact. The penalties, that's brutal. I mean, those are hurting the Chiefs on offense. It took away a touchdown pass to MVS in the Bears game, which didn't matter because that was a blowout win anyway. The whole thing with him lining up and jumping the false, I think that's just lame because Lane Johnson does it the exact same way. And Dean Blandino, some of his sources in Philadelphia even admitted that to him, according to Dean Blandino himself. So, I think with Jawan Taylor, if he can't improve, cut him. Take the cap hit because he's not going to restructure that deal. I know a lot of people are saying Jawan Taylor needs the Chiefs need to restructure Jawan Taylor's contract. Yeah, I agree. Is Jawan Taylor going to agree to it? If I'm Jawan Taylor, I would not do it. Man, I want the millions of dollars. But if Brett Veach has been able to do these things in the past, he's done it with Mahomes a couple of times, with Tooney, with Kelsey. So I think he can find a way. But I don't know. I think you got to have a moment where you sit down with him and his agent and say, look, man, the amount of money we're paying you and the production we got from you in your first year, not good at all. And we cannot afford this kind of play when we have the best quarterback in the NFL. So, and listen, you're not going to trade him. So, not that anyone said that in the chat, but I know some people are listening saying, well, could we trade him? No, because he's bad and no one's going to take that contract from Kansas City. There's no way. Gwen says, do you think Nagy will be out after this season? Well, if the Chiefs can make it, listen, I will say this right now because I have been very critical of the Chiefs coaching staff on offense. I got to give them credit today. I think the Chiefs offensively were a much better team. Yes, they stalled today in the red zone, which has been a big issue all year. But you scored 26 points and you outscored the Dolphins 26-7 in the freezing cold. I will take that. So I can live with Kansas City's issues today in the freezing cold in a playoff game, mind you. Okay? I can take that because this Chiefs team, they stuck to their strengths. They utilized Pacheco. They utilized Kelsey. They utilized Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice, I said it at the beginning of the podcast, but if you didn't hear me earlier, I'll just repeat it again because it is worth repeating. Rashee Rice did not look like a rookie tonight. This guy looked like a grown-ass man on the gridiron. 8 catches, 130 yards. Rookies generally don't play like that. They just don't. They play way better. And again, when you consider all the problems you have with your wide receivers this year, man, that is a beautiful stat line. And it definitely kind of eases the pain a little bit. The problems don't go away. Chiefs still have problems on offense. The tackles, I will say Donovan Smith looked great today. I did not have a lot of issues with Donovan Smith. Yeah, a couple plays here and there, but Donovan Smith looked a lot better today than he had during the season. It was his first game back too, mind you. And listen, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. The Dolphins defense was beat up. So can you play the same way against Buffalo's defense, which has some, they've got some bad boys up there. So I definitely, would have some concerns for that game because we saw the Chiefs kind of struggle against Max Crosby in that Christmas game. They definitely struggled against Trey Hendrickson a couple of weeks ago, but they made some adjustments. I think Wanya Morris got better as the game went on after that forced fumble. Just looking at Buffalo's pass rushers, which again, I know game hasn't been played yet, but Shaq Lawson, Greg Roserow, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. I mean, that's a good group right there. That really is. So the Chiefs definitely need to be, their offensive tackles need to play better against Buffalo's defense, if it is Buffalo, and I think it will be. Yeah, Travis, no, I agree with you. Yeah, it should have been 2 touchdowns. And the thing about that illegal block in the back, and I know someone called in earlier and disagreed with the penalty. I thought it was the right penalty call right there. You're taking touchdowns away, man. It happened in the Chicago game I mentioned, but you know, it didn't matter too much because it was a blowout win. But in the playoffs, you cannot be making those mistakes in the playoffs. You can't. You absolutely can't. Since 1971, that rookie stood. How many yards did that rookie have, and what was his name? I appreciate you mentioning the year, because I know Tarico mentioned it had been a record for a very long time, but I'll be honest, I do not know who has that record. Let me see if I can find that, because I am very curious myself. What was the exact stat? I think it was most catches, or no, I'm sorry, most yards in a most receiving yards in a game by a Chiefs rookie. So, coincidentally, it was the Dolphins who they played, and they lost that game. Longest game in NFL history. Yeah, that one. Let me see if I can find out who that was, because I'm very curious to know myself. Receiving yards, Elmo Wright. How many of you guys know who Elmo Wright is? I didn't even know the Chiefs had a player named Elmo. When was he drafted? 1971 in the first round. Okay. Hold on one second. Elmo Wright. Hold on. I'm gonna quiz everyone right here, okay? Let's just do this, because you know we've talked a lot about the game. Let's have a little bit of fun tonight. Hold on. My internet can work. Someone tell me what number jersey Elmo Wright had. Like, I need that answer in like 5 seconds. I had to Google it. I didn't even know who the hell Elmo Wright was. He was only with the Chiefs for just a couple of years. For college, went to Houston, then played with the Houston Oilers, and the New England Patriots. How many of you guys can tell me what jersey number Elmo Wright had? Oh, Charlie knows his Chiefs, man. Yeah, 23 and 17. It's on his Wikipedia. It says 23 and 17. I don't know which one he had in Kansas City, unless Charlie looked it up at the same time as me. Travis said 00. No. Kyle said 14. Christopher said 15. Bob said 80. Yeah, Casey saying 17. Yeah, it was. I don't know what it was with the Chiefs, but it says 23 and 17 on his Wikipedia. I want to know what number Elmo Wright had with the Chiefs. 17. Okay, so I guess he wore 23 when he went to the Oilers. Yeah, he had 23 in college. Elmo Wright. I guarantee you nobody had ever heard of Elmo Wright. Unless, I mean, oh, okay, you looked it up on Wikipedia. Well, there you go. How many yards was it? It was 104 yards. Where was it? I just added 104 yards. Ed Podolak had 110 yards. You guys know who Ed Podolak is. Man, Podolak had 85 yards rushing and 110 yards receiving and a touchdown through the air and on the ground. I know it was a double overtime game, but still, I think for that period of time, that's pretty damn impressive. But yeah, Wendell Hayes also rushed for 100 yards in that game. So yeah, Podolak had 110 yards receiving, and Elmo Wright had 104 yards. So Paul Warfield for the Dolphins had 140 yards. Okay, we're getting way too off topic here. I don't think I care that much about that game. Yeah, you remember watching the Houston Oilers win? Yeah. Who names their kid Elmo? I don't know. When the hell did Sesame Street come out? I never liked that show, by the way. I hated that show when I was a kid. I was like a Power Rangers and Pokemon kid. Didn't really care for those PBS shows. We are definitely getting off topic tonight. I love it, man. I love having fun with you guys. Good times as well. Okay, Chiefs won today, and they proved a lot of people wrong tonight, for damn sure. A lot of people thought they were going to be one and done. Not even remotely close to that. Patrick Mahomes, I thought, played better. Travis Kelce played much better tonight. Rashee Rice played like a monster. The Chiefs defense maybe had their best game of the year. And listen, they had, I know, they've got guys that are injured, but they got all their offensive guys that they needed. They had Mostert, they had Achane, they had Tyreek Hill, they had Jalen Waddle. None of them did anything. Tyreek Hill had that 53-yard touchdown catch and run, and that is the only positive from Miami in this entire game. Yeah, they had a couple of fourth down conversions in the fourth quarter when the game was way out of reach, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled. Again, the game was way out of reach. Nobody gave a damn at that time. I was preparing for the podcast. This is going to be very interesting to see. Let's talk about how the Dolphins are like 1-5 against winning teams. Yeah, it's a really bad record. The Dolphins have a lot of things to work on this offseason. Yeah, their offense was awesome, but against bad teams. So Elmo was born 20 years before Sesame Street premiered. Okay, thank you, Kara, for looking that up. Off topic, but how can I get my nephew an invite to Pat Camp? What's Pat Camp? Like Patrick Mahomes football camp? That I don't know. You would probably need to look up Patrick Mahomes football camp online. Listen, I know a lot of these guys do football camp. Some do, some don't. Deb says, I'm sure they'll blame it on the cold. Yeah. That or the referees, I'm just waiting for it tomorrow morning, the slow-mo clips and all that stuff on Twitter. If it hasn't been done already. So I laugh when Tua threw into the McDuffie-Snead combo. Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. They're desperate for something. But my God, McDuffie and Snead double teaming on Tyreek Hill. Love it. Love it. I know Bengals fans, like, they think double teaming someone is the root of all evil and like the worst thing a defense could do, even though their defense does it all the time. But yeah, man, that's what you're supposed to do when you're going up against the most dynamic receiver in NFL history. And obviously, listen, let me just say this. McDuffie, complete, bad play on that. McDuffie improved a lot as the game went on. And I'll tell you what, that fourth down play right there where Tyreek Hill was open and Tua saw him, but he didn't see McDuffie rushing in to bat that pass away. I mean, he definitely made up for allowing that touchdown later on in the game when he forced a big turnover on downs right there. That was a huge play from McDuffie. That was good to see. And again, kind of what I was saying earlier, all these young guys, Pacheco, Rice, McDuffie, Karlaftis. I mean, so many of these guys that are making big plays for your defense. It is so fun to see right now. I'm loving it. And I'd love to see it happen again. I'd love to see it happen again next week against Buffalo. Gwen's asking, anyone surprised no teams are requesting interview with Spags? I'd cry if he left us. I don't know if he has any interest in becoming a head coach again, because Chris Jones mentioned this. Chris Jones has mentioned this in a couple of interviews. He said that the reason the defense is playing so well is because Spags' wife actually moved to Kansas City. Now, I don't know where she was living before Kansas City. I'm guessing maybe in New York, where I think that was his last stop. And by the way, this is more common than I think some of you guys might realize. There are a lot of players who are like journey, like look at Joe Flacco. And I don't know where exactly Joe Flacco's residency is, but right now their season's over, but being with Cleveland, he's had to stay away. Trent Green, actually, when he left Kansas City, when he got traded to Miami, and I know he went somewhere else after that, his family stayed in Kansas City. So he was doing the whole, living the apartment life. And then, when the lease was up, going back to his family in Kansas City, and he still has his home here. So I'm not surprised, Gwen, because I think the guy is locked in, especially with his wife now moving and living in Kansas City with him full time now. I don't think he has any interest in wanting to go. And by the way, what's his age? I know he's up there in age. Let me just Steve Spags' age, because I know he is he's 64 years old. Okay. Do I think with the way he's coaching, that is worthy of head coach considerations. Yes. But I think he's at a point right now in his life where he doesn't want to move around. So look, I mean, I'm just looking at his Wikipedia right now. Okay. Since 1981, grad assistant in Massachusetts, the Washington Redskins in 83 as an intern, Lafayette, Connecticut, the Barcelona Dragons in the NFL Europe, Maine, Rutgers, Bowling Green, Frankfurt Galaxy, Philadelphia Eagles. He was in Philadelphia for a few years. Then he went to be the head coach of the DC of the Giants, the head coach of the Rams, DC of the Saints, defensive assistant for the Ravens. Went back to the New York Giants. Man, that guy has been moving around a lot in this sport. And listen, this is kind of a common thing. Even if you are a very good defensive or offensive coach, it is still very common to move around a lot. I can't imagine that lifestyle. When I was in KU covering the Jayhawks, Charlie Weiss, his family were in Florida because he was the offensive coordinator for the Florida Gators. When KU hired him, and some of you guys may know this, some of you guys may not know this. When KU hired him, he kept his family, his wife and his daughter in Florida. Some people may not know this, but his daughter has severe autism. And when they were living in Kansas City, when Weiss was the offensive coordinator here, she did not have a good experience in the school she went to. But in Florida, the school that she was going to, it made a big difference for her. And it helped her out a lot. Now, I don't know all the details behind all of that. And I think a lot of that stuff is personal and we can all leave it at that. But my point is, Charlie Weiss, because of his daughter, his wife and daughter stayed in Florida. He and his son was a college student and he wanted to coach, and he's an offensive coordinator in the SEC, I think. So he and his son came to Lawrence. So I'm sure there are a lot of stories out there about coaches being away from their wives and kids and family and whatnot. It's not an easy job. Yeah, Charlie Weiss was making $2.5 million and didn't win a lot of games, but also in his contract, there was a provision there that he and his wife can have unlimited travel from Lawrence to Florida. I don't know what part of Florida. So Gainesville, I'm assuming, which is where the University of Florida is, which would make sense. But it was in his contract that he would have unlimited flights to Florida and back, and his wife as well, because his wife would come out for the games. So these kinds of things with Spags and, his wife coming here, there are probably a lot of stories out there like that. Eric Bieniemy, I know he did not get a head coaching job, which is ridiculous, but at least he got to stay in Kansas City for 5 years. Now he goes to Washington. They fired Ron Rivera, and now Bieniemy's kind of a free agent, not really sure what to do. Is he going to move again, go somewhere else? And I don't know his family situation. So, my point is there are a lot of stories like this out there. Farzine, did you catch the KU game earlier today? Rock Jag? Yes, I did. That was a really good win. Kind of a weird first half, but man, they really just took it away from Oklahoma. A big game for them for sure against another top 10 team. Yeah, sacrifice, man. This is because coaches aren't making that much money. Assistant coaches, that is. They probably make more than the average person, but when you consider that they're living in one place during the season and another in the off season, and then trying to pay for their family to come out to games and whatnot, the money doesn't mean as much to them. They're doing it because of the love of the sport. It's a very difficult job. I think a lot of times, especially younger people, they hear a player or a coach and they automatically assume that they're all millionaires and they have private jets and what. Definitely not the life of an assistant coach. Prime example of being away from your wife as a coach, Urban Meyer. I'll be honest, I actually am not familiar with that. I don't know if you're making a joke or not, because I know Urban Meyer in his last year in Jacksonville was not good. But if you are being serious, then okay, I don't know the stories behind that. That's really interesting. Something we don't know about. Spags is great. Yeah. And Chris Jones has said, to go back to Gwen's question, Chris Jones has said that's a huge reason why the defense is doing so good. Like, who would have thought that a defensive coordinator's wife moving in and living with him full time now after they've moved around so much, that would be a big factor in your defense playing so great. Oh, you were just joking. Okay. I didn't really catch that there, but it's good to see. Yeah. I know there are so many like documentaries, like the quarterback documentary that Mahomes was a part of, and then the Kelsey documentary. Like those are great, and you get to see a different side of your favorite players. But they really need to do like a documentary on the life of an assistant coach, because it's not as glorious as some people might think. It's really, really not. I think you kind of saw that with Marcus Mariota on the quarterback show, because the guy's turned into a journeyman after a phenomenal college career and being the number one or number two pick, him and Jameis Winston. So what about all these coaches wanting to play in the West? What do you mean? What do you mean, Bob? All the coaches wanting to play in the West? Well, I think part of it is the weather. Belichick in his 70s, yeah. The LA Chargers job probably sounds good, especially when you consider the talent they have there. And, if that's where Belichick's going to live the rest of his life, sure. If that's what you're referring to, Bob, that might make a lot of sense. The linebacker coach for the Chiefs says he's not wanting a change in a DC coordinator, does want to coach anyone else until his kids are out of high school. Yeah, makes sense. I get that. You don't, because that's the other thing too. You hear this during August and September when the preseason ends and when the 53-man roster gets trimmed down. Some players get unexpectedly cut. Some of them get unexpectedly traded. And I think I heard, who's that former linebacker for the Pats? Not Vrabel, Bruschi, Teddy Bruschi. I was in college. I was a freshman in college when I first heard him say this, but he said something to the effect of how, when the preseason roster cuts happen, that's also back to school time. And a lot of these guys who think they're going to be with the team for that year, they have to not only figure out where they're going to go, but they got to figure out their family situation and then the kids' schooling and all that, which is never an easy thing. I get that. This is why, by the way, and I know we're getting way off topic right now. This is why a team in Europe will never work. Okay. What assistant coach is going to pack up his life and go to Europe? They might be willing to go from LA to New York or New York to LA or, Green Bay to Dallas. You get the idea. But from, the United States to the UK, no, it's not going to work. Like that Europe team is going to be at a disadvantage for every road game too. I know there are sports reporters in London who are like, yeah, well, it is a possibility. No, it's not. It would realistically, it would be a major disadvantage. Just bring back NFL Europe, man. Just bring back NFL Europe. I don't even know why that was defunct. I thought it was a good thing the NFL had going, but I'm not the commissioner. I don't make those decisions. So, oh, you went to high school with Teddy Bruschi? Yeah, I've read his book. It is phenomenal. It is really cool. Toronto, I mean, yeah, Toronto, Mexico City, Michael, you're right, but that's in North America. Now going to another country, that you don't want to move your entire family to another country. But I guess that's a little more doable, given that you're not. I know we say international, but it's not like you're going overseas or anything. So, all right, guys, we covered a lot of ground on tonight's podcast. A great win. I will go live at some point tomorrow, just to low key chat with you guys, and we'll talk more. Obviously, we have no idea who the Chiefs are going to play next weekend. We'll find out Monday if the game does not get pushed back. So 3:30 Monday. Bills and Steelers. Everyone is going to be watching that game, and we will find out who the Chiefs will play. All right, guys, my name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you for downloading and listening to this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Appreciate all the callers. Appreciate all the commenters. Appreciate all the haters who did not comment after the game, but they commented during the Tyreek Hill touchdown. They all went away afterwards. Interesting how that works out. All right, guys. Nonetheless, Chiefs win. Good win tonight. Getting ready for next week. I will talk to you all later. Take care.